Hello everyone, welcome to the holiday edition of Business Life. Coming up in this bulletin, Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT vows to protect all pensioners' funds by making sure they get value for their contribution as it increases monthly pensions for 2026 by 10%.
I assure you is that we will keep growing this fund. We will keep improving on pensioner welfare.
This evening, we will be exploring how the 10% increase will affect low-income pensioners' purchasing power, considering Ghana's current inflation rate of 5.4%. Also in this bulletin, Ghana Mine Workers Union promises push for improved working conditions and salaries for members due to the rising prices of gold on the international market.
We're expectant of, some decent adjustments in pay. And this is driven on the back of the commodity price and, for that matter, overall output.
Plus, heavy spending during Christmas affects New Year sales. We find out how strategies traders are adopting to stay afloat.
Compared to the Christmas, I can say it was better done this time because people buy their things already and now they are using it in the house, so maybe they will come after some time.
We have details of this and more coming your way all in a moment. Please stay on. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. Total assets of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT has increased by some 4 billion cedis from a little over 20 billion cedis in 2024 to about 25 billion cedis at the end of 2025. This was disclosed by SSNIT's Director General Kwesi Afrebani at a ceremony to announce its 2026 indexation rate. Now, the trust, which has been under scrutiny for what some analysts describe as ineffectual investment decisions in the past, says it is committed to a renewed approach which will protect the funds of contributors.
In 2024, 2025, inflation at that time 23%, indexation 12%. Basically, it means that the real growth was negative. In 2026, you have inflation at 5.4, indexation, average indexation at 10. So you have a real growth of close to 5%. For 70% of our people, as you move upwards, the real growth for some is in excess of 30%. So clearly, this year is far better than the prior year. What I can assure you is that we will keep growing this fund. We will keep improving on pensioner welfare. And we would also ensure that as things improve, the benefits will be passed on to the pensioners because they are the very reason why we exist.
Let's analyze this further and bring in the Executive Director of the African Center for Retirement Research, Abdallah Mashood. He joins us via Zoom. Thank you so much, sir, for making time to join us here on Business Life, and a happy holiday to you, as well as, Happy New Year, I should say, if it's in the right order. But for the purposes of education, what does this average of 10% increase for 2026 mean to pensioners, really?
Thank you very much, Kudu, and I appreciate you having me. And Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you as well. Basically, I've looked at the figures, and to begin with, I would just say by describing this year's pension increment as a responsible and people-centered indexation. As you mentioned, for 2026, pensions have been adjusted at an overall rate of 10% and a fixed rate of 6% with a flat amount of 91.56 Ghana cedis. I'm particularly excited about the fact that the minimum pension has been increased by 33%. That is from 300 Ghana cedis to 400 Ghana cedis. This is something the Africa Center for Retirement Research has been advocating for in the last 7 years. If you remember, minimum pension from the year 2000 had increased each year until 2017 and 2018, when it was at 276 Ghana cedis. Then in 2019, it moved from 276 Ghana cedis to 300 Ghana cedis, and has been locked at the 300 Ghana cedis for 7 years. That is from 2019 to 2025. So the fact that minimum pension has been increased by 33%, moving from 300 Ghana cedis to 400 Ghana cedis, is good news. That is not the only variable that excites me. If you take a look at the redistributive factor, which stands at 91.56 Ghana cedis, kind of trying to make room for poor pensioners. So if you put the two together, that is increment in the minimum pension and the redistributive factor, or the flat amount, it is enough to conclude that the Social Security Administration has strengthened the poverty relief mechanisms of the scheme, and which is good news. Of course, that is in line with good social practices around the world.
And this is what we want to find out from you, Mashood. How will the 10% increase, for example, affect low-income pensioners' purchasing power, considering Ghana's current inflation rate of 5.4%?
Yeah, so if you look at this year's pension indexation, the focus has been to take care of low-earning pensioners. I think I've looked at the report, and that is where the focus is. So if you take the increment in the minimum pension and the fact that the flat amount, which is a redistributive factor, is a poverty relief mechanism that goes in for low-earning pensioners. So if you put the two together, and I'm saying it is enough to conclude that the Social Security Administration has really taken low-earning pensioners on board, and that is good news. The flat amount of 91.56 Ghana cedis as a poverty relief mechanism is very, very, very significant. In fact, it is the highest redistributive factor the Social Security scheme has announced in the last 36 years. 91.56, that is a big amount as far as the redistributive factor is concerned. So overall, looking at the figures, Koju, and from purely a technical and policy perspective, there is a clear and deliberate attempt to get a good balance between paying good benefits and being mindful of the long-term financial integrity of the scheme. On the whole, I'm very excited about this year's increment, and I trust that this will resonate well with all pensioners across the country. Notwithstanding, I think there is still room for us to improve on the pension redistribution model.
All right, so help me find this. How does the 10% increase compare to Ghana's inflation trends, and how it will effectively protect pensioners' purchasing power? How does that play out?
Yeah, so basically, the main objective of pension indexation of annual pension increment is to restore the purchasing power lost by pensioners in the previous year. For instance, what has been announced in January 2026 is coming to restore the purchasing power that pensioners lost in 2025. If you take inflation rate from January all the way up to December, it is averaging 14.63%. Yes. Under normal circumstance, if we didn't have issues with sustainability, that is the rate at which pensions should have been increased. That is 14.63%. So that is the average inflation for the year 2025. But for the fact that we have sustainability issues, in which case we have to introduce sustainability factor, you can't give all the purchasing power that is lost. So the 10% over here is the overall, but it's broken into a fixed rate and a flat amount.
All right.
So if you put these two together, you realize that, especially when you're considering the increment in the minimum pension and the amount as a redistributive factor,
okay,
I think it is good pension indexation.
Abdullah Mashood, thank you so much for your time here on Business Live. I'm grateful. Now, the Ghana Mine Workers Union has pledged to push strongly for improved wages for miners this year as part of efforts to cushion workers against rising costs of living. Now, speaking to Joy Business, General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union of TUC, Abdul Mumin Bana, said the union will prioritize fair wage negotiations to ensure workers' pay keeps pace with inflation.
Workers should be very expectant of some decent adjustments in pay. And this is driven on the back of the commodity price and, for that matter, overall output. If you look at gold output this year and last year, it's trended upwards. If you look at gold price, from an average of about 2,000 the year before, last year it rose all the way to about 3,000 and ended the year with over $4,000 an ounce. And so this is unprecedented in the history, as far as I'm concerned, in the last century. We haven't witnessed gold price at that high before. And so once output has gone up, the expectation is that there should be something commensurate. As a union, we have drummed up the issue of labor law and, for that matter, our legislation in this country. I mean, in other dispensations, nobody's going to take this temporary employment at all. And it all boils down to government policy on employment. It boils down to our labor laws. We have relatively weak labor legislation. So if you look at it contextually, from a legislation point of view, we have serious issues we are grappling with. One, the law is weak and gives opportunity for employers.
Now, away from that, as Ghana reflects on its economic performance in 2025, and of course the President Mahama's 1 year in office, a key question on the minds of many citizens is whether this administration has delivered enough progress to ease the pressure on households and businesses. While some acknowledge signs of stability, others remain unconvinced, raising concerns about the cost of living, job creation and long-term growth. And to this end, we want to bring in the views of the Chamber of Agri-business Ghana. Its Chief Executive Officer, Anthony Morrison, joins us via Zoom for us to have this conversation. Anthony, thank you so much for your time here on Business Live. What are the Chamber's growth expectations for Ghana's agribusiness sector in 2026? Unmute for me, Morrison.
All right. Yes, Pius, thank you very much, and very good evening to your cherished viewers. For us at the Chamber of Agri-business, I think there's quite a lot of things that we expect of government, and we want, first of all, to commend his team, His Excellency the President himself, the Finance Minister, the BOG Governor, and the Minister for Agriculture, for such a yeoman's job. But what we are saying is that 2026 is a very dicey year. First, on the global front, with issues with regards to the geopolitical challenges and likelihood impact on agribusiness and agriculture. So we need to be very strategic and begin to put in place long-term strategies that are able to resolve our current situation. Now, one of the areas that we are looking at is for government to harmonize the ongoing structural defects, we call it in the agro-industry, i.e. anyone working currently in the agriculture sector will have to mediate or go through about 8 agencies and ministries, be able to eventually stabilize himself. And we are saying that it's time we look at an intentional purpose for which that we drive this economy. The 24-hour secretariat is there. We have the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Environment, and all of them, we engage with all of them. What we are saying is that we need a one-stop shop. We need to reduce the cost of the long bureaucracy, and also the old system of the ombudsman must all be taken out. And at the end of the day, these are some of the things that will also drive investors in, because if it should take you 6 months to 12 months to set up a factory or a business in Ghana, I think that these are some of the things that we should be looking at, that we don't repeat itself. Fast forward, there are quite a number of things that we are also expecting of government, most especially Ministry of Environment, with current issues with Galamsey. We also want to look at a single window system for approval of permit and licensing, maximum of 15 to 30 days. We are also looking at a clear warehouse system where most of our agricultural produce, for instance, a zero-rated agro inputs, okay? So that we are talking about making food available. If you look at it this year, last year, for instance, the cost of Ghana rice compared to the foreign rice was selling cheaper. Now, even though some unorthodox factors may have influenced that, but at the end of the day, competitive-wise, in terms of pricing, we are still very low on competition with them.
I appreciate that.
We need to.
But Morrison, I want you to tell me this. What partnerships or investment opportunities is the Chamber exploring to enhance the agribusiness value chain, and how will these benefit your members?
Well, thank you. As a matter of fact, we are currently working very closely with the Danish embassy, that's the Denmark embassy of Denmark. We signed a 3 to 5 years agreement with them on two fronts. One, to develop and organize the Agri-Logistics Africa, which will include most of the enterprising European agro-logistics companies, from seeds to production to processing, cold chain, and what have you. We have also signed a 3 years agreement to send to Denmark about 120 Ghanaians that will want to develop their agriculture and agro-industry skills. These are both from the private sector and from graduating students. Now, another area we are implementing, which is starting next month, is what we call the Labinova. We are doing this closely with the Italian Trade Commission. This started in 2020, where we used the COVID to mitigate the challenges we are having with the access to trade due to the COVID issues. So now we are bringing on board to train between 50 to 100 and also 50 large-scale commercial agro-enterprises. The best performing ones in each category, amounting to 20, will be taken to Italy for an upgrade and funding support services.
Great initiative.
These are just some of the initiatives we are looking at. But from the Chamber's own initiatives that we have put in place, we are currently profiling 100 agribusiness most investment destinations within the country, and we make sure that we make it available to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority, and the trade commissions, so that they'll be able to share this in their various trade embassies for us to be able to drive investment.
All right.
Another area we are looking at is,
for the sake of time, Anthony, we'll leave the conversation and of course come to you subsequently for more on that. I appreciate your time. Anthony Morrison, the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, speaking to us here on Business Live. It is the holiday edition. Let's pause for a breather. We'll be right back. Hello again, welcome back to Business Live. Ghana's small retail businesses are feeling the squeeze as higher costs meet shrinking consumer spending. From Malamata to Nima Junction, traders say January sales have slowed sharply after Christmas, with many customers buying less, delaying payments or cutting back altogether. Rosela Calistego reports.
Across several markets in Accra, traders say there's simply no money in the system. Even as prices of goods rise due to transport and utility costs, customer spending has failed to keep pace, forcing businesses to rethink how they price and sell. At Malata, beverage traders Maridi and Al Hassan say demand has dropped significantly despite pricing adjustments aimed at attracting bulk buyers.
For now, it's very slow. It's not like the way we used to know it. We are mainly on wholesale, only wholesale, we don't do retail. So because of that, people are patronizing because of the price. I think the government should let money flow in the country, as the others are complaining that they don't pay them. Like the workers, some of the workers are complaining they don't pay them.
Oh, it's been very, very bad as compared to the previous years. Since it's not been coming. This festive season is so somehow better than the previous, like the normal days. But we think maybe it's the economic, like there's no money. People are complaining that there's no money in the system. Really? It's the same prices we used to sell, but the petrol keep declining. So we just hope that maybe in the future things will maybe change.
The slowdown is also affecting local government revenue collection. According to Amos, a revenue collector at Malata, traders are struggling to meet their daily obligations on time.
The market is slow, so at times I go around for the money. They find it difficult to pay for me, but usually they pay. But they don't pay it on time. Okay. Oh, things will change because some of them have travel, so usually they will come. If they can reach, the market will rise again.
For Doris, January is a familiar dry season. With many households still using items bought during Christmas, customer visits have reduced, forcing sellers to rely on personal relationships to stay afloat.
As compared to the Christmas, I can say it was better done this time. And because people buy their things already and now they are using it in the house, so maybe they will come after some time. But as I've been calling my customers and asking them, some of them, if I call them, they will ask you to bring some. Some of them, if you call them, they will say they have some, so if they need that, they will call you.
Food sellers are dealing with a different challenge. Mercy, who sells kelewele, say plantain scarcity caused by galamsey has made pricing difficult even during the planting season.
Nibiana season or your Yamadan season. Shamadan ba edaka keshipon fite.
Even though it is plantain season, plantain is still scarce because farmlands have been destroyed by galamsey. Customers assume plantain is available and expect more than their money. Some people come with 5 cedis and expect a large portion, which is no longer possible. When I go to buy plantain, I still get the same small quantity as during the off-season. This makes business difficult because plantain is expensive and selling cheaply would lead to losses.
Kifuna kabe wonu ohon ne won bonyomo ka oba no ba he ne ekun baby anoshka e share benasa no ohele.
As traders navigate rising costs, weak demand, and post-Christmas fatigue, many say survival now depends on price flexibility, customer loyalty, and hope for an economic rebound. Rosla Calistegos reports for Joy Business, read to you.
Thanks so much for watching Business Live. I am Pius Kujubaka.